Ladies, gentlemen, gamers of questionable sleep schedules, welcome to a list so powerful, so absurdly cracked, it could bench press a PS5 with one Joy-Con. We're talking 20 recent games so perfect, so ridiculously 10 by 10, they make real life look like a tutorial level. These games didn't ask politely for your attention, they kicked down your door, installed themselves on your hard drive, and now they live rent-free in your brain, forever. So, let's jump headfirst into 20 of the most dangerously addictive single-player experiences the universe has cooked up. Let's do this. Look, if Black Myth, Wukong doesn't make you want to grow a mystical monkey tail and start swinging a god-tier staff at demon centipedes, I don't know what will. This game is like if Dark Souls and Kung Fu Panda had an awkward one-night stand and then made it work for the sake of art. The graphics? So crispy they made my graphics card cry in 4K. The combat? It's like a ballet, but everyone's angry and armed with ancient magical weapons. And Wukong? He shapeshifts mid-fight like it's a casual Tuesday. 1 minute you're beating down a thunder god, next thing you know you're a flying cicada throwing hands with a dragon. It's brutal, it's beautiful, and it will absolutely humble you. I spent 45 minutes fighting a giant wolf only to realize I was underleveled, underprepared, and emotionally unqualified for the smoke. But did I quit? Of course not. I died heroically for content. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is what happens when a JRPG takes steroids, cries in the rain, and writes poetry about friendship and trauma. It's the second part of Square Enix's plan to slowly inject pure serotonin into our nostalgia receptors, and buddy, it works. Cloud is back with his oversized sword and a fresh batch of unresolved emotional issues. Tifa's still punching fate in the throat, and Sephiroth? That guy is still shampoo commercial levels of dramatic. The game's side quests are so good, I once forgot I was supposed to save the planet and spent 4 hours helping a chocobo find inner peace. The combat is flashier than a rave in Midgar, and the visuals? I thought my screen was leaking beauty. Don't even get me started on the soundtrack. It's like Nobuo Uematsu broke into my soul and started DJing my memories. If you're not playing this, what are you doing? Rearranging your inventory in silence? Nah, grab your Buster Sword and cry with style.
They're nothing.
Spider-Man 2 is the video game equivalent of eating pizza on a rooftop while stopping crime and having an existential crisis. In other words, it's perfect. Not only do you get to play as both Peter and Miles, but you also get a symbiote suit that turns you into a high-speed wrecking ball with issues. The traversal is so smooth I sometimes forget I'm supposed to fight crime and just do flips for 20 minutes like a caffeinated acrobat. And the combat? It's like Batman. Arkham decided to chug an energy drink and start doing aerial combos. The story's got drama, heart, and enough plot twists to make a soap opera blush. And Venom? That dude's built like a refrigerator and sounds like he eats protein shakes for breakfast. Side quests? 1 minute you're stopping a robbery, next you're helping a cat run a museum. It's chaotic, heartfelt, and absurdly fun. Also, yes, I cried during one of the cutscenes. No shame. This game swings hard and lands every punch.
You're not gonna win this!
Resident Evil 4 Remake is back and somehow scarier than your bank account after a Steam sale. Leon Kennedy returns with perfect hair, a kick that could kill a horse, and an endless supply of one-liners, which is really all you need in life. The villagers? Still angry. The chainsaw guy? Somehow more terrifying than ever. I've never been more afraid of burlap sacks. Capcom took the original and cranked every dial to 11, then dipped it in horror sauce and handed it to us with a wink. The game's atmosphere is so tense I paused during one section just to go outside and remember what joy feels like. The lighting makes every shadow a potential jump scare, and the sound design had me checking behind me even in real life. Also, Ashley's no longer just a walking liability, she's actually helpful. Who knew? This remake proves that you can improve on perfection as long as you're willing to emotionally scar a new generation in the process. Alan Wake 2 is less of a game and more of a psychological breakdown that somehow won Game of the Year in my heart. Remedy took a flashlight and said, "What if this was your only friend?" and threw you into the darkest, most narratively confusing fever dream you've ever loved. You play as a tortured author in a haunted town where plot twists punch you in the face and reality is optional. One minute you're solving crimes, the next you're in a musical horror scene questioning your sanity while a singing deer mocks your life choices. The story is so meta, I swear it started writing me. The visuals are haunting, the gameplay's got just enough survival horror jank to keep you sweating, and the transitions between scenes feel like someone's editing your dreams with Adobe Premiere Pro. It's artsy, it's terrifying, and it's brilliant. Alan Wake 2 doesn't just break the fourth wall, it takes a sledgehammer to your brain and writes a novel on the wreckage.
More people turning into Taken. Is this the cult? Or the story? Or both?
This game is what happens when a JRPG takes a trip to Hawaii, chugs 10 Red Bulls, and joins a reality show. Like a dragon infinite wealth throws Ichiban into a tropical fever dream where turn-based combat meets what even is going on anymore. One minute you're fighting mobsters with a pigeon army, the next you're running your own animal sanctuary and arguing with a guy in a shrimp costume. The drama hits like a telenovela, the combat hits like a truck, and the mini-games? I'm ashamed to admit I spent more time surfing the job board than saving lives. And don't sleep on the karaoke. I walked into it ironically and walked out emotionally changed. This game somehow balances heartfelt storytelling, goofy nonsense, and tactical depth all in one glittery package. I laughed, I cried, I accidentally roundhouse kicked a dude dressed as a lobster. Truly art.
Allow me.
If you ever wanted to cosplay as a fedora-wearing history professor who punches fascists and commits light archaeological war crimes, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is your dream game. It's got puzzles, it's got relics, it's got ancient temples that somehow have perfect lighting and zero OSHA compliance. Playing this game feels like raiding a museum while being chased by the History Channel's nightmares. Indie quips, like a man who's allergic to silence, and the whip mechanics, chef's kiss. I never thought I'd use a leather whip to swing across lava while solving a riddle from a long-dead cult leader, but here we are. The game lets you live out every running from a boulder fantasy you've ever had without the legal consequences. It's equal parts action, mystery, and wait, did I just awaken an ancient curse again?
Circle. They think it's a conduit of some kind of power, correct?
The boss certainly does. He believes it'll secure his place in history.
Silent Hill 2 Remake. The game that lovingly whispers "you're not okay" into your headphones at 3 a.m. This isn't just a remake, it's a psychological horror roller coaster built in a haunted IKEA. You walk into Silent Hill thinking, how bad could it be? And 5 minutes later, you're screaming at a mannequin made of legs. The fog is thicker than a triple-decker milkshake. The creatures look like modern art projects gone rogue. And the story? It's so deeply unsettling, I had to Google a therapist halfway through. And Pyramid Head? Oh, he's back, baby. Still looking like a rejected kitchen appliance, still murdering like it's a competitive sport. If you enjoy horror that gets inside your soul and rearranges your internal organs with existential dread, congrats, this one's for you. Stellar Blade is basically what would happen if Bayonetta, Nier Automata, and a sci-fi fashion show collided at the speed of light. This game serves up buttery smooth combat, stylish finishers, and enough visual flair to blind a cyborg. You play as Eve, who apparently trained in 14 martial arts and studied how to look cool while ending entire species at Intergalactic College. Every boss fight feels like it should be on IMAX. The soundtrack slaps, the outfits are illegal in some countries, and the vibes are so dramatic they could win an Oscar. Also, there's philosophy in here. You'll be knee-deep in hacking aliens to bits, and suddenly you're contemplating the meaning of life. I came for the flips and explosions, stayed for the feels, and left with an existential crisis in Ultra HD. Let me tell you, Jedi Survivor made me feel like the most chaotic space monk in the galaxy. Cal Kestis is back. Older, moodier, and still defying gravity with more hops than a frog on espresso. The combat is smoother than Yoda's pickup lines, and the new force powers? Bro, I literally yeeted a whole squad of stormtroopers off a cliff like it was laundry day. The environments are huge. The lightsaber customization is so detailed I spent an hour deciding whether I was more of a green crystal guy or a double blade menace. And the story? Emotional damage straight to the heart. There's betrayal, found family, and at least 3 moments where I yelled "No" at my screen like I was in the movie. Oh, and BD1? Still the real MVP. If you don't love that little droid, you have no soul. And probably root for the Empire.
It's fine. I'm fine.
They were waiting for us.
Hi-Fi rush is what happens when someone straps a rhythm game to a jet engine and feeds it a steady diet of comic books, energy drinks, and pure dopamine. You play as Chai, a guy whose iPod fuses with his literal heart and suddenly the entire world moves to the beat. Like enemies attack on beat, doors open on beat, and even boss insults come in on the downbeat. The combat is like if Devil May Cry crashed into Guitar Hero during a concert and decided to form a band instead. I found myself air drumming while dodging lasers from a robot CEO that looked like Elon Musk's final form. Every level is like a music video on meth, and the fact that you get bonus damage for staying on rhythm is either genius or a deeply personal attack on people with no sense of timing. Either way, this game rocks harder than my GPA during finals week.
Hello, Big Monster Production Ricky here. And what's this I hear about a defect running wild in Recca's soul? Anyone sees this kid running around? Recca wants you to.
So apparently I didn't get my Hogwarts letter because it was waiting in a video game all along. Hogwarts Legacy lets you run around the wizarding world like the absolute menace you always dreamed of being. Want to learn forbidden spells? Go for it. Want to ride a hippogriff into the sunset while setting goblins on fire? Of course you can. I made a Slytherin character who got expelled by the Ministry of Magic twice for excessive use of explosive spells on school property. No regrets. The castle is huge, the detail is insane, and the number of secret doors I accidentally opened while button mashing is suspiciously high. You get to attend magical classes, but I skipped most of them to duel randos in the woods and adopt every magical beast like a wand-wielding zookeeper. 1010 would risk Azkaban again.
Suppose it's worth a look.
Stop right there, or I'll make you stop.
9 Sols is what happens when you slam 2D platforming, ancient Eastern mythology, and psychological trauma into a blender and serve it with a katana-shaped straw. This game slaps. Literally, your parry game has to be on point or you'll get wrecked by cyborg monks wearing the emotional weight of failed empires. It's like if Sekiro had a baby with Hollow Knight and raised it in a dystopian monastery. The combat feels like a tightrope walk between looking cool and getting humbled by a celestial grandma who throws lightning at your soul. The story? Deep, emotional, and full of cryptic lore that made me question reality. And my reading comprehension. Every boss fight is a test of reflexes and your willingness to scream at the screen. I rage quit twice, came back, and immediately got my cheeks clapped again. Game design? Immaculate. My self-esteem? In recovery. Dead Space Remake is back to make sure you never trust a hallway or a ventilation shaft ever again. Isaac Clarke returns, still mute, still emotionally repressed, and still fully capable of turning alien limbs into modern art with his plasma cutter. The Ishimura is somehow even more terrifying than before, and now everything's in 4K. So when a necromorph drops from the ceiling and screams in your face, you can see the despair in your retinas. The new lighting system alone had me reevaluating every shadow like it owed me money. The game's sound design is so good it could scare the hope out of a Disney movie. I tried to conserve ammo by using telekinesis to throw pipes at monsters. It worked. Once. Then they learned. I have not known peace since. If you want to scream, cry, and whisper just one more save point at 3 AM, this game's for you. Dead Island 2 is not just a zombie game, it's a bloody, sun-drenched, one-liner-filled playground of chaos set in LA, where everyone's either undead or just aggressively Californian. You get to craft the dumbest weapons imaginable, like a flaming electric axe that also makes smoothies. Combat, deliciously dumb. You can dropkick a zombie into a grill, set the grill on fire, and then watch everything explode like you're the director of a B-movie with zero budget and zero shame. The gore system is so detailed it feels illegal. Like, I saw a zombie's jaw fly off in slow motion and I said "nice" out loud. The characters are unhinged, the story is surprisingly decent, and the whole thing plays like a vacation from your brain. It's dumb fun turned up to 11, and honestly, I'm not sure if I survived LA or just became a new breed of influencer with rage issues and a machete. Imagine being in a deeply committed relationship, and then one of you dies and turns into a ghost but sticks around to keep solving crimes together like a supernatural power couple. Welcome to Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, where love is eternal, ghosts are everywhere, and moral decisions come with a side of emotional devastation. This game made me question everything. Do I help restless spirits move on peacefully, or do I banish them into the eternal void with a dramatic spell and a guilt trip? Combat is like Ghostbusters meets God of War, with your ghost girlfriend tag-teaming enemies while also quietly judging your life choices. And the story? It's so emotional I almost cried into my controller. Until I remembered ghosts don't care about your tears. This game is a hauntingly beautiful breakup simulator where everyone's too dead to move on. So picture this, you're a crab, a very angry crab, and the world is a giant underwater landfill filled with trash, mutated seafood, and existential dread. Welcome to Another Crab's Treasure, the only game where you fight evil hermits using bottle caps as armor and ramen lids as shields. It's basically Dark Souls if you replace swords with forks and every boss had an allergy to recycling. This game is hilarious, weirdly emotional, and surprisingly hard. I got clapped by a shrimp with nunchucks and questioned every decision that led me here. But beneath all the chaos, there's a great story about greed, pollution, and crab-based honor. Also, the game literally lets you scream underwater and intimidate enemies with your crustacean rage. 10/10. It's the seafood epic you never knew you needed. In Pacific Drive, your best friend is a haunted, sentient car. Yeah, it's like Christine, but you actually root for the car and it doesn't try to kill you, most of the time. You're stuck in a radioactive hell zone known as the Olympic Exclusion Zone, where nature is mad, physics is broken, and your only hope of survival is customizing a rusty station wagon with duct tape, science, and raw panic. Every run feels like a roguelite road trip into the apocalypse. Thunderstorms that scream at you, UFOs that try to kidnap your wheels, and abandoned gas stations that whisper things. It's terrifying and cozy at the same time. You'll go from, "What the hell is that thing chasing me?" to, "Oh, thank God I found a working windshield wiper." This game made me care more about a car than most humans. Atomic Heart is like being dropped into a Soviet fever dream cooked up by a robot with too many opinions and not enough chill. Everything here is shiny, terrifying, and aggressively confusing in the best way. You've got murderous ballerina robots, elevators that flirt with you, and a glove that talks more trash than an internet comment section. The combat? Explosive. The story? Utterly bonkers. The vibes? Somewhere between BioShock and What If IKEA Was Evil. I tried to sneak past a group of robots only to accidentally hack a vending machine and cause a disco inferno. It's beautiful, unhinged, and unapologetically weird. Half the time I wasn't sure if I was saving the world or accidentally turning myself into a cyborg snack. Either way, I was vibing. 10/10 would fight a toaster again. Until Dawn Remake brings back everyone's favorite interactive horror soap opera, now shinier and even more emotionally chaotic. You control a bunch of hot, overly dramatic friends on a snowy mountain trip that turns into a survival nightmare. You make one bad choice and suddenly someone's head is rolling downhill like a haunted bowling ball. The updated visuals are so realistic I spent half the game screaming, "Why are you splitting up?" at people who looked like they could actually hear me. Jump scares? Brutal. The butterfly effect system? Emotionally damaging. I tried to save everyone, but by the end I had 2 survivors, a shattered heart, and a strong distrust of Wendigos. It's like a horror movie where you get blamed for everything that goes wrong. And let's be real, it's usually your fault. Glorious. And there you have it. 20 single-player games so good, they've probably shortened my life expectancy from sheer emotional whiplash. If you laughed, cried, or questioned reality during this video, go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe like it's a hidden collectible, and ring that notification bell so hard it echoes into New Game Plus. I'll be back soon with more gaming chaos.